Good afternoon, my dear students. I am happy to meet you through this video class. I hope you will watch this video class, and if you have any doubt, you can go through your book also. Today, I am going to discuss about the structural organization of animals. That is first lesson about rabbit. In previous class, you have completed up to the digestive system of rabbit. Today we are going to discuss about the remaining organ system. First one is the respiratory system. So in rabbit, the respiration takes place by lungs. A pair of lungs that is located in the thoracic cavity. The lungs, which is made up of spongy tissue, is guarded by the thoracic cage. Is a thoracic cage or thoracic cavity. The thoracic cavity is well protected by the vertebral column at the back, sternum in front, and ribs at sides. So the thoracic cavity is well protected by the three important bony structures, and inside the thoracic cage or thoracic cavity, the spongy lungs is located, and here this thoracic cavity is an airtight compartment. So there is no way, right, between the passage of air between the lungs and also the body cavity. This is a pair of lungs that is exactly located in thoracic cavity. That is actually internally the body cavity is divided into the two compartments. One is upper thoracic cage and lower abdominal cavity. Upper thoracic cage or thoracic cavity, and lower one is abdominal cavity. This upper thoracic cavity and lower abdominal cavity is separated by the membranous structure called diaphragm. So the presence of diaphragm is an important characteristics of mammal. It's a very, very unique one, which actually separates the two chambers internally. This is a airtight compartment. It is lungs. It's well protected in all sides. If you see the structure of the lungs, actually the larynx, which is also called as the voice box. So this from the voice box and up to the trachea regions, we call this upper respiratory passage. Actually, air enter into the lungs through external nostrils. It's called external nostrils, and the external nostrils leads into the pharynx region. So leads into pharynx. The pharynx is a common passage for both the digestive system and also the respiratory system. Okay, this pharynx is a common passage for digestive system as well as the respiratory system. So from the external nostril, the nasal passage leads into the pharynx region through internal nostril. And the pharynx is a common passage. Now the pharynx open into this larynx region. The larynx region is also called as the voice box. Actually the larynx, which is protected by here four cartilaginous plate. Cartilage is nothing but a soft bony structure which is not completely ossified. Ossified in the sense not the calcium is deposited more in the cartilaginous structure. So these four cartilaginous structure which give protection to the larynx region. Both the trachea and the larynx are supported by the C-shaped cartilage. During inspiration and expiration, that is breathing in and breathing out of air, the trachea and the larynx region should not be collapsed, so that the cartilaginous ring which gives support to this respiratory system. So internally, the opening or passage that is inside the larynx as well as the trachea, this we call this is the glottis. The opening is called glottis. So the pharynx region opens here in the larynx, and the air passing through the passage which is present inside the trachea and the larynx is called as the glottis region. And upper region of this larynx, it is covered by another cartilaginous structure called epiglottis. Epi means above, glottis I said earlier, it is nothing but an opening. So the epiglottis covers the glottis during the process of swallowing of food. Suppose the epiglottis is not present during swallowing, the food may enter into the glottis also. So the epiglottis prevents the entry of food into the that is larynx and trachea. So epiglottis gives protection to this glottis region entering the food materials. Here inside the larynx, suppose if you take the section, internal section of the larynx, we can see the membranous structure inside the larynx. It is called vocal cords. It is called vocal cords. The vocal cords that is determines the size of the glottis. When the air passing through the passage or through the glottis region, the vocal cord vibrates and that produce the sound. So we can call this larynx is a voice box, or we can also call this as a sound box, because it produces sound. When air passing through this passage, the vocal cord vibrates and produce a sound. And when you come to the next one, the larynx leads into the structure called trachea. So trachea is a part of the upper respiratory passage through which the air passing into the bronchus region. Exactly at the fifth thoracic vertebra, this trachea bifurcates. That is divided into two parts, and what we call this is the bronchus or bronchi plural, bronchus singular. And each there is a bronchi. There is actually divided into right and left bronchi. When the right bronchi enter into the lungs, that is divided into three bronchioles. Divided into three bronchioles because there are three compartments or three lobes are present in the case of right lung, as like as a human being. And here there is actually two compartments are there in the left lung. And further is bronchioles divided into many small tubules and finally open into small the bubble-like structure that is called as the air sac, or it is also called alveoli. The air sac is also called alveoli. So this alveoli or air sac is a single layered membranous pocket-like structure. That is the place where the exchange of gases takes place between the lungs and also the blood vessels, because the outer region of these walls of alveoli is supplied with more blood vessels, so through which the exchange of gases takes place. And the lungs actually well protected by the membrane. Okay, the membrane we call this as a pleura. The membrane is called a pleural membrane or pleura, and is a double membranous structure. Between the inner as well as the outer layer, this space that is actually gives protection to the lungs. So the pleural membrane gives protection. So in the case of a rabbit, the respiratory system is a very simple one. It's a model for the mammals. So if you see the respiratory passage, that is from external nostril and through the internal nostril to the pharynx. Pharynx leads to the larynx region, larynx to trachea, trachea to bronchi, bronchi to bronchioles, and a very fine tube-like structure which open exactly near the small pocket-like structure called alveoli or air sacs, through which the exchange of gases takes place. So next system is a circulatory system. Next is the circulatory system. In the case of rabbit, the circulatory system consists of three portions. One is the blood, second one is blood vessels, third one heart. So here we are going to see about the structure of the heart. Heart, there is a pear-shaped structure. The pear-shaped structure located between the two lungs. What we call this is the mediastinum. The space between the two lungs is called as the mediastinum. So the heart is located in the mediastinum between the two lungs, and just above the thoracic, that is located in the thoracic cavity, just above the diaphragm. And here the heart, here in the case of rabbit, it is covered by the membrane. In lungs it is called pleura. In heart it is called pericardium. In heart the membrane is called pericardium, and between the two membrane, here the space is there that is filled with the pericardial fluid. The fluid is called pericardial fluid. Here internally, if you take the section of the heart, in the case of rabbit, we can see the two upper chambers. The two upper chambers are called auricles, and the two lower chambers are called ventricles. This one is the right auricle or right atrium. This one is called right ventricle, right? And this one is left atrium, and this one is left ventricle. So there are four chambers. The two upper chambers have thin-walled membranous structure, and the two auricles are separated by there is a complete partition inside the heart. Here is a unique characteristics of the homeothermic organisms or warm-blooded animals like mammals. So there is no chance for the mixing of both the deoxygenated as well as the oxygenated blood. So here the two upper chambers or auricles are separated by the membrane structure. It is also called interauricular septum. Septum is nothing but the cross wall which separates the two auricles internally, and the same way here the two ventricles also separated by interventricular septum. It is called interventricular septum. So there is no chance for the mixing of both oxygenated as well as deoxygenated blood inside in the heart. And the same way the two upper chambers and the lower chambers are separated by the septum is called auriculoventricular septum. Here in the auriculoventricular septum, here in the right chambers, that is between the right auricle and the right ventricle, here there is an aperture. Aperture is nothing but an opening. The opening is called interauriculoventricular aperture. That is actually present between the upper right auricle and lower right ventricle. So it is called auriculoventricular aperture. This auriculoventricular aperture guarded by or is supported by the valves. Here the valves, that is called as the tricuspid valve. The valve is called tricuspid valve. Actually three flaps are there, and here with the walls of the lower region of the ventricle, it is supported by a muscular structure. During a contraction and relaxation of the muscular structure, which closes or open this auriculoventricular aperture between the, that is located between the, lies between the right auricle and the right ventricle. So the valve name is called tricuspid valve, which is located between the right auricle and the right ventricle. Same way, here between the left chambers, here the two or bicuspid valve is present between the left atrium and the left ventricle. So this also is attached with this the walls of the ventricles. This valve bicuspid is also called a bicuspid valve or mitral valve. Is the valve which is present between the left auricle and left ventricle is also called a bicuspid valve or mitral valve. So the main functions of these two valves to regulate the flow of between the upper to lower chambers only, or regulate the flow of blood only in one direction. So unidirectional flow of blood, that is regulated by the two valves. During a contraction and relaxation of the heart, once the tricuspid as well as the bicuspid valve closes, the blood should not enter back to the auricles. So the two valves regulate the flow of blood from upper to lower chambers only. And here in the right ventricle, here in this right ventricle, the blood vessel which arises, this blood vessel is called pulmonary trunk. It is called pulmonary trunk, or it is also called pulmonary artery. This is also guarded by valves, and once the deoxygen blood enters through the pulmonary trunk, it reaches the lungs for oxygenation. It is called oxygenation. Oxygenation means to release the carbon dioxide, and it carries or takes the oxygen and again back to the heart. So pulmonary trunk or pulmonary artery which arises from the right ventricle and carries deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood for oxygenation. And here in lungs, the carbon dioxide released and oxygen is actually carried back, and from lungs the blood vessel which reach or carries the oxygenated blood to the left atrium. So left atrium receives the oxygenated blood from lungs through the vein, name of the vein called pulmonary vein. Through pulmonary vein. So the this is actually one kind of circulation. It is also called pulmonary circulation. The blood, deoxygen blood carried to the lungs for oxygenation. That means release carbon dioxide and takes oxygen, that actually return back to the left atrium through pulmonary vein, right? And the one more major blood vessel which arises from the left ventricle. This blood vessel, we call this as the dorsal aorta. It is called as a dorsal aorta. The dorsal aorta carries the oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. Dorsal aorta, which carries oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. And simultaneously, there are three blood vessels. Here, one is called precaval vein, and here one more blood vessel is called postcaval vein. So here when you come to these major blood vessels in the heart, this is a precaval and postcaval. The blood vessel which brings deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood from various parts of the body. Here the precaval vein is also called superior vena cava, and the another blood vessel postcaval vein is called inferior vena cava. This is a inferior vena cava. So these are two major blood vessels, right, which brings deoxygen blood. Actually precaval veins are two and one postcaval vein. These three blood vessels brings blood from various parts of the body. The two precaval veins brings deoxygenated blood from the anterior part of the body, that is from head and neck region. And the postcaval vein brings deoxygenated blood from posterior part of the body, from the lower limb, tail, abdominal region. So deoxygenated blood collected and carried by the various blood vessels, finally they are released into the right atrium. And same way from the wall of the heart also the deoxygen will collect and discharge here. Then the same time oxygen blood actually reach here in the left atrium. By contraction of these both auricles simultaneously, the blood enter through the aperture to the ventricles, and during contraction of the ventricles, the blood enter through the dorsal aorta, that is from the left atrium, and through the pulmonary artery from the right atrium. So this is a complete circulation which takes place here. So in rabbit, the circulatory system is called closed circulatory system because the blood carried through only blood vessels. Right? So the two system that we have completed. Next one is the nervous system. In rabbit, the nervous system consists of the central nervous system, that is CNS, peripheral nervous system called PNS, and autonomous nervous system, that is ANS. The main function of the nervous system is to coordinate the different physiological functions. The central nervous system comprises, or it is further divided into forebrain. It is divided into forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The central nervous system that is divided into this forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Actually, it includes the two parts, mainly the brain and the spinal cord. Brain and the spinal cord. And PNS includes the nerves which arises from the brain and the spinal cord. So the nerves arise from the brain is called cranial nerves. The nerves arise from the spinal cord is called spinal nerves. The number of cranial nerves in the case of rabbit is 12 pairs. So in all mammals, the number of cranial nerves are 12 pairs, but the spinal nerves in rabbit is 37 pairs. So 37 pairs of nerves that actually carries information to all parts of the body, or we can say in another way that carries the information to and from the brain. There is 37 pairs of spinal nerves are there. We call this as a peripheral nervous system. Autonomous nervous system including the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. It is including sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. So these sympathetic parasympathetic nerves, they are functioning in antagonistic way. Suppose if the sympathetic nerves carries stimulus to the concerned organ, parasympathetic nerves that inhibits or that reduces the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, they are working in antagonistic way. And when you come to the CNS, actually brain that is enclosed in a cranial cavity is surrounded or well protected by a membrane called meninges. That is protected by membrane called meninges. The outermost membrane that is called as the dura mater, and the middle membrane is called arachnoid membrane, and innermost membrane is called pia mater. So these are three membranes, that is the outer dura mater, middle arachnoid membrane, inner pia mater. These three membranes, what we call this is a meninges, which gives protection to the central nervous system, that is to brain and spinal cord. So inside the brain as well as on the outer surface of the membrane in the sense on the between the pia mater and arachnoid membrane here, that is filled with the fluid called CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. So inside and outside, the brain is well protected by the fluids also. The fluid gives there is a mechanical protection to the brain during jumping or walking or running, right? This membrane gives protection to the brain. And the brain, that is divided into forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain region. In forebrain, in the case of rabbit, the three, that is divided into three portions or three parts. Actually, in forebrain, the olfactory lobes, okay, the portions, right, for to find out the smell, or what we call this is the chemoreceptor. There is olfactory lobe, and next part, that is called as the diencephalon. Diencephalon and cerebellum, cerebrum. So the three important portions are there in the forebrain region. Olfactory lobe to find out the various smell, and of course the diencephalon consists of different parts to control the process of respiration and heartbeat and other things. And cerebrum, that is divided into two cerebral hemisphere. This cerebrum portion is responsible for the various activities like memory and to think and other things. That is the case of rabbit also. And the midbrain region, they consist of only one portion, that is called optic lobe. Optic lobe. Midbrain region, there is only one portion called optic lobe. The optic lobe receive information from the eye. So the photo receptor send signals or message to optic lobe region where the visual functions are analyzed. And the hindbrain region, it consists of three parts or three portions. One is called cerebellum. And the second is called pons varolii, or the pons region. And the third one is called, that is medulla region, or it is called medulla oblongata. So hindbrain region, that is divided into cerebellum, pons varolii, or medulla oblongata. Three regions. So the whole nervous system, central nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, it is well protected by the three membranous structure, and the central nervous system is the controlling portion, controlling part, and from which the information is carried through the cranial nerves and also the spinal nerves. So this brain is an important center to coordinate. That means to receive information, to analyze information, and to send the message, that is to the concerned effector organ or the motor organ. So it is in the important portions, that is in the case of the mammalian organisms, that is including rabbit. And the next organ system is called urinogenital system. Next organ system is called urinogenital system. Here the urinogenital system, that comprises of two systems. One is excretory system or urinary system, and another one is reproductive system, or it is also called genital. Reproductive system or genital system, excretory systems or urinary system. So these actually two organ systems, they are combined together, and commonly we call this as a urinogenital system. First we will see this excretory system. Here the excretion in the case of rabbit, that is done by a pair of kidneys or a pair of kidney. Kidneys, that is actually separate the nitrogenous waste material, it is called as the urea, from the blood, and the urea is excreted out or sent out through the urethra. So the main function of the excretory system is to separate the nitrogenous waste materials or purify the blood. The unwanted waste materials as well as the excess water, if it is present in the blood, that is completely sent out completely, in the sense that is the osmoregulation function is actually done by this excretory system. Here the kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity. located in abdominal cavity. On that is on either side of the vertebral column. On either side of vertebral column, that is the kidneys are located. The kidneys are bean-shaped structures. This is a bean-shaped structure. So if we see the structure of this kidney, here the three important portions are there. Here inside there are many the tubule-like structures are present called uriniferous tubules. Uriniferous tubules, or it is also called nephrons. It is nephrons. So we can see the structure. Actually, this is the structural as well as the functional unit of kidney, which are very, very small and microscopic in nature. If you take the section of the kidney or internal structure, we can see the the nephrons. The millions of nephrons are actually present inside the kidney. And the outer region, that is again covered or protected by the membrane structure called capsule. The outer layer, which of course which gives protection to the kidney, that is called as the capsule. So the three important parts is one is the kidney. Second one is called ureter. It's called ureter. And the third one, here is another the ureter, which joins here together to form the sac or bag-like structure, which is called as the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder, and that open exteriorly through urethra. Urethra. So in mammals, that is including rabbit, the urethra is the common passage for both excretory system as well as the reproductive system. That's why actually we used to study the two systems together as a urinogenital system. So this outer capsule gives protection, and as I said earlier, the nephrons, the millions of nephrons are present, and the blood enters into the kidney through this concave region of the kidney. The concave region, this region is called hilus or hilum. Hilus region or hilum, and the blood vessel enters through this hilum, and inside that it gives many branches, and it is supplying blood to the nephron. The nephron is the filtration part, and unwanted waste materials like urea, and if it is excess mineral and excess water is present, that is also separated, and finally all the waste materials are collected here in the pelvis region, that transported via ureter and stored here in the urinary bladder. So when the sphincter muscles relaxes through the urethra, the waste material that is excreted out. And here the structural unit called nephrons, which actually present here in the outer, this outer part is called the cortex region, and the inner region is called medulla. So in both cortex as well as medulla region, these nephrons, the highly coiled, the structural unit, structural functional unit is located, that open exactly here in this portion, what we call this is the pelvis region. Hilum is the concave region of the kidney. Pelvis is a wide portion of the ureter, and the passing through this ureter and reaching here in the urinary bladder, finally excreted out through urethra. That is about the excretory system in the case of rabbit. And when you see this structure, that is a reproductive system, in rabbit, we can see the very clear sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism. So that means the sexes are separate. Male and female organisms are separate. So in the case of some lower organisms like earthworm, both male and female reproductive organs are present in the same individual. So it is called as the hermaphrodite organisms. But here the sexual dimorphism is clearly demarked here in the case of rabbit. In a male, there is a rabbit. male rabbit, the reproductive organs, what we call this is the testis. Testis. This testis located in the scrotal sac. Scrotal sac. In the case of rabbit, the testis is not descended, outside the body. But in the case of, the other mammals, especially in the case of man, the testis is actually, of course, located in the scrotal sac, but is seen outside the body. And inside the testis, if you take the section of the testis, we can see many small tube-like structures. That is called as the seminiferous tubules. It is called as seminiferous tubules. So here the testis and outer scrotal sac, inside many seminiferous tubules are there. All the tubules actually, it is open, that comes out of the testis and forming a highly coiled structure. The highly coiled structure is called epididymis. Highly coiled structure is called epididymis. It is also called a storehouse of the sperm, and the complete maturation of the sperm takes place here in the epididymis. That actually leads into the tube-like structure. This duct is called as the vas deferentia. It is called as the vas deferentia. Right? So the two vas deferentia, actually from the another testis also, is joined together, and forming the common duct. The common duct is called as the common urethra. It's called as urethra, and of course the urethra portion of the kidney also is opens here, joined here, and forming the common duct and open exteriorly through penis. So in the testis, it is not actually descended outside the body. That is located in the abdominal cavity itself. This is also protected by membrane. The membranous structure is called a scrotum. And if you take the section, here we can see many tube-like structure. The tube-like structures are called seminiferous tubules, in which the sperms are produced, and that is get collected here in the highly coiled structure called epididymis. And the epididymis leads into the urethra through the duct called vas deferentia, and where the two vas deferentia join together to form, and the urethral portion of the excretory system also open and forming the common passage. Here in this place, there are three different types of the glands are located. Right? Three different types of glands. One which is present on either side of the penis, it is called perianal gland. Perianal gland, that is actually present here in the penis, and just above this here one common that is gland is present, that is called Cowper's gland. It's called Cowper's gland, and before the two tubes, actually two structure meets, here one more structure is present, that is called prostate gland. So prostate gland, Cowper's gland and perianal gland, the three different types of these glands secreting the fluid that is useful for the motility of the sperm, or the sperm to locomote or to move. These fluids secreted here in these three glands are useful, and these excretory as well as reproductive system open exteriorly through the common opening called urethra. Next is urinogenital system. In the case of female, here the female reproductive organ, that is called ovaries or ovary. Here, of course, the ovary is located in the abdominal cavity, is attached to the dorsal body wall by the membranous structure called mesovarium. Mesovarium. And here there is a funnel shaped structure which arises very close to the ovary, that is called as the fallopian tube. It is called as the fallopian tube. Here is the ovary and it's a fallopian tube. These two fallopian tubes are actually joined together. These are two structures which join together and form the ureter. It's a common structure. What we call this is the uterus. It's called uterus. Here it attached with the body wall by mesovarium, and here the funnel shaped structure which is also called as the fallopian tube. These are two fallopian tubes joins together to form the common sac or bag-like structure called uterus, and the uterus open exteriorly through vagina. And in the case of female reproductive system, here the urethra actually there is from the kidney, it is also open here, and here in this vagina region. So it is a common this urinogenital system open out exteriorly through the urethra. This portion is called vulva. The common passage of both reproductive system and excretory system is called vulva. And here in this vulva region, here in this portion, the two glands are present as like is the male. One is called Cowper's gland, another one is called that is perianal gland. It is called perianal gland. But prostate gland is the unique characteristics of only mammals. So here the main function of this uterus to ovary to produce ovum. The ovum is actually released in the abdominal cavity. There is no any direct connection between the ovary and the fallopian tube. And when the ovum is actually released here, it actually passing through the fallopian tube, and the two fallopian tubes actually join together to form the sac or bag-like structure called uterus. And after fertilization, the young one in the sense after fertilization, the fertilized egg get implanted here in this inner region of the uterus, and the ureter and its passage that is called urethra, that is commonly opened out through the opening called vulva. The fluid is also useful for the lubrication here in these vulva regions. So this is about the female reproductive system in the case of ovary. So thank you, my dear students. So you watch our videos, and if you have any doubt, you check in your book also. Thank you.